Good afternoon, everyone. I want to make a little bit of a video on my thoughts of, I wouldn't say maybe necessarily new LT1 engine because it's been out since 2014, but just my quick little thoughts on the LT1 engine. So for a little quick history lesson for those who don't know, from 1970 to 1972 was actually the first LT1 engine. It was actually labeled as LT-1, and it came out in a Corvette making about 370 horsepower, and I think in the Camaro it was making about 360 horsepower. Back then the numbers were a little bit different, and they were rated different. Back then I think it was called gross horsepower, and the way it was measured was that there were no accessories, so no alternator, no fan, no water pump, free-flowing exhaust. All these things weren't hooked up. So they called that they were power robbed the actual engine. So somewhere else in the mid 1970s, they came out with what they called net horsepower, which changed everything's rating. And I think currently in 2005 they came with SAE horsepower, and basically they just put all the accessories on there and actually gave a different horsepower rating. It's actually a little bit more true. But anyway, from 1970 to 1972 they had the LT-1 engine that came out in both the Camaro and the Corvette. Fast forward to 1990, I don't know if it's 1990 or 1992. I want to say it's 1990. They came out with the LT1 engine, which is actually in the C4 Corvette. And that engine was rated at 300 horsepower. And then eventually they came out the LT4 engine, which is primarily used in the Grand Sport Corvette, and that was making 330 horsepower. A little bit later, or around the same time, they came out with the ZR1 Corvette, and that ZR1 Corvette made 375 horsepower, and then it was upped a little bit later to about 400 horsepower, I believe. And it was a completely different engine than LT5. So it was a dual overhead cam. It didn't have reverse flow cooling heads. It was actually designed and built in conjunction with Lotus. So it was a completely different engine. It wasn't a ZR1 Corvette, considered king of the hill. King of the hill wasn't topped until the ZR1 C6 Corvette came out. And actually the performance benchmarks for that C4 ZR1 were not surpassed until the C5 Z06 actually came out, which was making 405 horsepower. But anyway, flash forward a little bit towards today. So we hit 2014. Currently, right now, it's 2016, going into 2017. It came out with the LT1 Corvette, making 460 rear-wheel torque. I mean, not rear-wheel torque, just a flywheel torque, and 450 horsepower in the base Stingray. Then and also the Grand Sport with the Z06 making 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Now there's another Corvette that is coming out that is gonna probably be called the ZR1 Corvette. We don't know if they're gonna use the moniker LT5 engine, or if they're gonna call it something else, or we don't even know how much power it's gonna be, but it's speculated it might be called an LT5 with the ZR1 King of the Hill thing going on as well, making over 700 horsepower itself. You know, the title of this video is gonna be called LT1, the new LT1 sucks, ... but it's like the new LT1 sucks to lose to. Because I have an LS3 here, and there are no complaints from LT1 owners that I know about, you know, the horsepower, the way it feels. I mean, it's a great engine. It's got very loud timing, cylinder deactivation, makes more power than LS3. The only thing they say is that they're still trying to figure out where the horsepower comes on at in the new LT1 engines, because you know in the LS3s you can actually you can feel it come on at around 26 to 2800 RPM. You can definitely feel the power come in, and also the sound of the LT1 is not quite the same grunt as you'll see in the actual LS engine. But other than that, it is a great engine. I wish that I actually had it. Maybe one day I might have one, but that's just my quick thoughts on the LT1 engine. As you can see in a video though that I'm gonna post after this, what you have here is a C5 Corvette with the LS3 in it, cammed and long tube headered, and making about 457 real world horsepower, 430 rear wheel torque. And yellow Stingray that you can see has the LT1 engine in it with long tube headers and X pipe, and it's putting out 450 rear wheel torque, and at about it's putting out 450 rear wheel horsepower, and then it's putting out 470 rear wheel torque. And you can actually see the results of the video of what just long tube headers and X pipe can do to a base Corvette, as opposed to putting a cam in the LS3 and X pipes and all that stuff in long tubes. Enjoy.